Hi, this is Rachel. Welcome back to yet another episode. I didn't think it would last this long of Yarn Equals Joy. This is still quarantine pandemic, even though the city has opened up a lot. I live in Texas. As you can tell from the news, the numbers are going up accordingly as expected, and I really don't want to get sick, so I am spending a lot of time at home, which is not the norm. I'm a teacher, and during the summer I'm usually out and about and traveling and seeing my kids who live in other states and all of that, and I'm not doing that obviously this summer, which is incredibly sad, but I know that people are dealing with things that are a lot worse. And speaking of things that are a lot worse, I'm not going to go into detail about my work with racial equality, but I am going to say that I'm completely on board with the concept that Black Lives Matter and that we have to be actively anti-racist. And as a teacher and department chair, I'm working hand in hand with my school with rigorous professional development this summer. It's not the first time we've done this. It won't be the last time we've done this, but it's always good to dig in and do the work. And so that's all I'm going to say about that, and get on to what you're here for, which is the knitting. These are all the details. Yarn Equals Joy, episode 21. I'm going to talk a little later about what this Shop Tink Knit D-Stash Delights means. It is June 17th, 2020. I'm Rachely Book Girl on Instagram and Rachely on Ravelry. So this is an exciting podcast for me because I have, well, first of all, we're in a different location. The backdrop is wonky, I know. We're in my purple office, and I have a new camera and a different light, and I don't know if it's good or bad, but I'm going to try something different, partly because I've been filming on the floor and it just was not comfortable. So this way, with this new setup and this new light, I can move around a little, and I am now in my office. And there's another reason that I'm in the office, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So first, starting off with the FOs that I'm really excited about. As many of you know, when I was able to travel, I went to New York in December and went to Brooklyn General Store, which is near where my son and his fiance live, and he picked out some yarn for a scarf and then ended up gifting it to me, which was very lovely, as a Hanukkah present. But I created a pattern. I mean, nothing fancy. I literally looked in a pattern book and created this 3-color stripey, cable-y scarf which I'm calling Brooklyn Bound, which I may write up as a pattern if anybody's interested. It is incredibly long because he's like 6'2", and he wanted it ridiculously long. The only thing I will say, well, there are a couple things. One, it obviously, I kind of ran out of steam and it took forever, but it doesn't matter because this is, he doesn't need this right now. He will. But I've had it wrapped around a couple times, and it still has length, but it is incredibly squishy. Now, it's not quite as squishy as it was before I blocked it. It definitely took some of the kind of substance out of it. But I'm glad I blocked it, because what I realized was that this yarn, which is Blue Sky Fiber Extra in chestnut and Java, I think, and black, ran. And that did not matter with this because all the colors were dark, but it will matter a lot in my new cast on that I'm going to show you. And so I'm going to need some major advice and suggestions about how to block that. But again, this is super, super long. The other thing about this pattern was it was the first time I attempted to do cables without a cable needle, and it worked beautifully for this shawl and this scarf, and made it really go much faster than it would have, even though it was still a pretty monumental project. I also put on, my hair. So my hair is crazy. It's like Rapunzel right now. I don't know how to cut my own hair. Yeah, I don't know what to do. And the hairdresser is not in yet. Okay, so it has this little tag. I think you can see it. On one side it has sort of a heart with yarn and needles, and the other side it says "From Rachel with Love," which should say "From Mom with Love," but I just have ones that say Rachel. So this is for my son who lives in Brooklyn. I don't know if I said that. That's why, I guess I did. That's why it's called Brooklyn Bound. And also the yarn was purchased in Brooklyn at Brooklyn General Store, which is a gorgeous shop. If anybody gets there, it's one of my favorite yarn shops. Okay, so now that I've shown that, the next two FOs are Chevron Crazy. I didn't realize that I had this insane amount of chevron going on in my life, but we're there. So I finished the Espace Tricot Chevron baby blanket. It's also made out of blue sky fiber, but this is their, let me see what it's called. Sorry. Blue sky organic cotton, which is a worsted cotton. It came out really well, and you can see it has like these tips of pink and then all of these stripes, and then the end has the pink again. So I wasn't sure, because this was cotton, I wasn't sure what to do in terms of sort of blocking it. So I ended up putting it in a bag that I had for lingerie into the washing machine on a cool, delicate cycle. And it came out, because I figured whoever I gave it to would probably be doing that. And then I just laid it out, and I guess I pinned it, and it came out beautifully, soft and perfect, and ready for a baby. So we'll see who gets that. That is not sure yet. And then the other chevron craziness that I finished is Stephen West's Squiggle Wiggle Wet Shawl. And this also was a massive project that took forever. I'll just show you the different sections. I don't know if you can see, but it has this fun I-cord pop of orange at the end there. It kind of shows. It's really bright at the end, which I love. I had mixed feelings about this all the way through. It is a very simple construction. The lace is pretty simple, but it grows internally. So it starts out with one width, and then by the end it's another width. And I had sort of thought that this would be like a great sort of travel wrap, because it wouldn't take up a lot of room. But I don't really love it like that, because this side is narrower. So I think probably the best thing is sort of to think of it as this really fun scarf. And I do love the way it looks like that. So I can see it sort of a pop of color inside my black winter coat, and yeah, it's fun. The colors are bright. We know I like bright colors, and my hair is driving me crazy. Anyway, it is, let me see what else I can tell you. So I had started with Spun Right Round singles in Hit the Ground Running, Pavement, and Reaper's Rags. So it was originally in the pattern, it was supposed to be a fade with minis. So it goes from this sort of gray with speckles to a darker gray with only sort of black speckles to this deep, deep, deep tonal gray. And I very much love the tonal gray part of it. I didn't love the other parts as much. But when it came to this, I just love the contrast and the way everything pops off of it. I ended up adding white in because I had some white and I just thought it really punched up the final part, the big squiggles of the shawl in a gorgeous way. So I'm really, really happy with the way it ended up. Okay, so that brings me to works in progress. And there's two that I'm going to show you that you've probably seen before, and one that's a third that's a new cast on. So this is the Hitchhiker, which everybody and their daughter and mother and grandmother has already made. I had not made one, I guess. It has these lovely sort of jaggedy peaks, and the pattern is really simple. It's an 8-row repeat, and it sort of tells you that you can keep going or you can stop after you get to like 41. I think I'm at like 35. I'm doing this with a sock yarn. You can see that's kind of not coming out in the right color. It looks kind of lilac-y and gray, and it is. It's kind of a gray with definite purple undertones, and it has a little bit of purple and red in it. But it actually is pretty neutral looking when it's knit up. The yarn is a Hue Loco yarn, and it's Wood Violet in Phyllis sock. This will be a gift for a friend, probably someone who doesn't like colors as bright as I do, and maybe someone who lives here and doesn't have a need for something super, super heavy. And then the next thing I want to show you is a project I honestly am shocked with. I thought I would love it. I thought it would be one of my favorite things, and I'm not liking it much at all. It will definitely be given away. This is Casapinka's Breathe and Hope. I just don't love seeing these two colors blend together. I like the sections where they're separated, like in the stripes. I had seen someone do like regular stripes for a section, so I've done that because these slip stitchy stripes I just wasn't in love with, and I didn't want to do more of it. It also has a weird sort of shape, and I don't know quite how that's gonna look after it's blocked. So, you know, I've seen them, I've liked them, but mine is not something I'm loving. Again, the two colors are colors that I love. They're really, really pretty. One is Miss Babs Violicious, and the other is, Yarn at Home Mom in her sock yarn and Hardy sock, and the color is Spring Fling. And they're gorgeous colors together. When I hold them up like that, I think, oh my God, this is amazing. But for some reason, with the slip stitch pattern and the way it all blends, it's just not, I'm just not loving it. And plus the shape that's so curly and weird, I don't know. If anybody's doing the Breathe and Hope or finished it and has, you know, some hopeful thoughts about it that they can share with me so that I will want to keep doing it. I mean, I will finish it and I will block it and I will put it in the gift box for gifts. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. And hopefully someone will love it when it's all done and squishy and wearable. Okay, so I'm most excited about my new cast on. So I, as I've mentioned, am stuck in my house, and I am somewhat of a stash junkie. I've collected way too much yarn, and it was time to pay the piper and figure something out since I was going to be here this summer anyway. So I did a major clean out of most of the yarn, not all, but most of the yarn. I divided into 3 piles. One pile was going to be gifted to my father's retirement home for any people who were stuck there and were going crazy and wanted to knit or crochet, I thought this would be a great way to donate and give them a lot of supplies, which I had. And I brought, last Sunday, I brought over there about 4 giant bags filled with yarn and needles and project bags, but mostly yarn. So hopefully those will be enjoyed and make people feel that they are not going crazy, because I know that the crafts that I have been doing have definitely helped me feel less stressed. Okay, so the second pile, I decided I was going to de-stash on the website Shop Tink Knits, and I created an account called, or a shop called De-Stash Delights. And if you go to shoptinknits.com, you can search for De-Stash Delights and my little shop will come up. I'm not 100% certain how this all works. I'm literally dipping my toe into it. I have a lot of yarn to upload. It is very time consuming. I don't know if anything will sell. I don't know if people are shopping there. But there are discounted yarns. So if you like indie yarn but want to save, you know, $5 on a skein or whatever, this is a, you know, for brand new, never been used yarn, this is a good place to go. I have at least 13 skeins uploaded. I have a lot more to do, but as I said, it is very time consuming because you have to put in all the details and then you have to take a picture and upload it and all of that. So I hope that you guys will go check it out. I'm going to continue to add things to it. There's a lot of yarn on the bed behind me that is going to get uploaded. There's some gorgeous skeins. They're dyers who are no longer dyeing. They're dyers who are dyeing and very popular. And yeah, so I would love it if you could just tell people about it, share the fact that that exists, and maybe go over and check it out yourself. But I also kept yarn, obviously. So the third pile was yarn that I kept, and I realized that I had sweater quantities, and one of the sweater quantities was something I had earmarked for my son who lives in New York, because he's the only one in a really cold climate. He's really picky about clothes, so I have no idea if this will ever get worn. I really don't know if it'll fit him. I'm just sort of going rogue. But it is gorgeous, I think. It is Marshland by Tin Can Knits. You can see this amazing, amazing color work. Not that my workmanship is amazing, but the colors together are amazing. So these are, this is Cascade Eco Wool, which is very affordable in this off-white color. And I have a ton of this. And then it's the Blue Sky Extra, which is alpaca and merino, that I used for the Brooklyn Bound scarf that I gave him, with some of the same colors. So I still have the black and I still have this khaki color, which is called chestnut, but I added in this mulberry wine color, which I think is stunning. I love the black with the cream. But there are some things that worry me. One, I have no idea if I'm doing this in a way that will fit him or fit him to his liking. Two, I'm terrified that the black is gonna run, or the mulberry wine is gonna run on the cream and ruin the whole thing. So I need some help. Like, do I do this with distilled water, cold water, vinegar? What do I do? So please help me. And the third thing I'm worried about is that this pattern has you pick up and knit the ribbing of the collar after the whole thing, and I'm just not sure my picking up and knitting is perfect enough to have that be so central part of the sweater, so I'm nervous about that. So any tips anyone has about any of that, please let me know. But I could not be happier with the way the colors are coming out, and I think it's really, 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 there you can see. It's really, really good looking. So I'm excited about that and working on that. So that has kind of flown off my needles and been really exciting. So I've kind of jumped around a little. We did finished. We did whips, we did new cast on. I have another skein for sharing the joy. So this is less traveled yarn in the color Jessica Jessica. It's 75 merino, 25 nylon. It's 438 yards. It's a sock yarn and it's getting really blown out, but it is like a light gray with pops of yellow and orange and green, like a light green. It's really soft, springy, sweet color, very pastel, but without any sort of pink. So, well, I guess there is a little pink. There's a little pink there. But everything's very subtle. So if that's something you would like, why don't you comment below with either an idea about the Breathe and Hope, if you've done it or seen it somewhere else and you think it looks good, or maybe you don't like it either, or tell me something about how to stop the colors from bleeding, or tell me something about how to pick up stitches. And if you don't have anything for the collar of that sweater, and if you don't have anything else about that, you can just check in and tell me something you found interesting in the podcast or something like that. So again, let me just double check my notes. I think I've showed this before, but this is how I do the notes. I have this little sprocket printer and I print pictures of the FOs so that I can just sort of have a record. I'm horrible about Ravelry. I haven't done show notes, but I check my messages and will answer anything that you ask. I'm an open book. So, the last thing is other kinds of joy. And I have been doing a lot of watching, a lot of listening, and sometimes you just need something to escape. And if you are looking for that, just a summer escape read, I've been listening on Audible to Jennifer Weiner's book, Big Summer. It's a little bit of a mystery, but it's a lot of just storytelling about these characters, and there's some sort of frivolous stuff and younger characters, so it's not necessarily my my life or group at the moment, but that's good. That's why it's an escape. It's something totally different. So again, yarn does equal joy, but I have too much of it, so I am destashing it. So if you are interested in shopping with deeply discounted brand new yarn, go to Shop Tink Knits and check out Destash Delights. And otherwise, keep knitting and leave a comment below and like and subscribe if you haven't. And if you have, wow, thank you so much. You don't know what it means to read the comments and to know people are watching and just giving me this avenue to share what I am doing and knitting while a lot of the rest of my life has sort of calmed down in a really profound way. So it is nice to have this connection. Anyway, take care. That's all I've got for now. And happy knitting. Bye.